Hey, it's Andrew Huang, and these are my personal top 10 favorite plugins that came out in 2025. No companies are sponsoring this, by the way. These are all just my picks. Nobody knows that they're being included in this video, except me. In slot number 10, from Prototype and Aeroform, we've got Fraction, and this is just a relatively simple synth. Or actually, it's based on samples, but it's samples of like vintage synths. The thing that stands out to me about it is that it just sounds really good. Like every sound is usable, every sound's a little bit vibey. It's hard to make it sound bad. And for me, it just goes a long way. Workflow wise, I know that if I want a cool synth sound, I can go in here and be making music quickly rather than getting lost in tons of parameters, which is something that I like to do at other times. So let's listen to this little loop that I've got going, and I'll scroll some presets for you. But not only are the presets good, you've got this shatter button, which is basically randomization. And whatever they've done, they've really dialed in the randomization well, because I just find it always gives you a usable sound. It never goes like absolutely wild like some randomization stuff can. So on the main page, you've got some pretty basic controls. This XY blends between two samples. And then on the y-axis, it's how much effects and filtering is happening. You can also independently filter each sample. And there's this vintage control, which goes from like a clean sound to something that's just a touch crustier, you know? Humanize, I don't really use. It seems to just add kind of like a key press sound sometimes. Anyway, that's the main panel. On Advanced, you can see the waveforms of the samples you're using. You get an envelope over each. You can adjust their levels independently. You can adjust the modulation, and this is what's happening when you go higher on the XY. Now on the Effects tab, things are pretty simple. Saturation, delay, reverb. Pretty standard stuff, though I'm guessing that's also part of how they maintain the like always sound pretty good vibiness of this randomization control. Yeah, I really enjoy using this. All right, let's find a more basic sound for me to demonstrate the next plugin. I promise after this, we'll stop using this loop. Next up is Halo 3D Pan, made by someone named Nathan Blair. And this is pay what you want, by the way. So this is a spatializer, and it does something that I've wanted for a long time, which is moving a sound around in a space without it being that very obvious, like panning left and right motion. Get your headphones on for these examples. So, here it is, just going back and forth, left to right, as I spin this little guy in the middle. The effect happens as I increase this slider on the right, which is spatialization. And so now as I turn this, it feels a little more like the sound is going around your head. The effect, I find, increases when you increase the width. So right now, with this slider all the way down, I had my stereo signal coming into the plugin collapsed to mono. So we can increase this, and then we get more of this like swirling around our head spatialization effect, which is much more pleasing to me than the standard like left-right pan. Blah. This halo that we've been looking at this whole time is how high the sound is. So rather than like being around you, it's like moving up and down. I do wish there were modulation controls in this because, you know, you have to get an external LFO or you have to do some automation curves to like get this constantly spinning, for instance. Okay, for the next two slots, I have a tie between two very different reverbs. I'm gonna demonstrate these on a vocal. This is from an artist I'm working with who I'm so excited to share her music with you, but that's for a future video. So this is Temperance Pro from Eventide. There is also a light version, which I presume costs less or is free, but I have not looked at that in a long time. Let's turn up the mix. I'm gonna go higher than I normally would so that you can hear the reverb effect. This sounds like a nice reverb. Cool thing about it though happens when I turn up the temper control. this starts to reduce the reverb signal to just notes within this set of notes that you've selected. The uses for this are interesting. If your reverb is in key with your song, then stuff might be sweeter in your mix. But I feel like it's also just like a new type of reverb. It sounds a little bit different and you can use it much more creatively too if you want. Like note width expands the range of notes. We can constrain the frequency range they're gonna land in. And if we go like short decay, density down, and we can modulate stuff. And then there's more fun stuff like, if you've got a chord progression going, you can set it up in here to play along with your DAW's tempo so that your reverb tail notes track the chords that are in your song. You can control what notes are active with MIDI. So it's an interesting one. I think it's the first time in a long time that I feel like I've seen something really new in the world of reverb. So yeah, Temperance Pro. And the next plugin we're taking a look at is Valhalla Future Verb, which is just a really good reverb and delay. Valhalla makes the best reverbs there are. This one you get a delay as part of it, and you can choose whether the reverb goes into the echo or the echo goes into the reverb. Let me show you how nice it sounds.
And my skin wrapped up in your, and my skin wrapped up in your, and my skin wrapped up in your name.
Now what I'll say though is I'm someone who owns every Valhalla plugin. If you've got a lot of Valhalla stuff, or if you've just got a lot of reverbs and delays in general, I'm not sure if you do want this. Like, it's great. It sounds amazing, but also it is just a reverb and a delay. And there are some cool things about it, like you've got some modes that don't exist in a lot of reverbs or delays or in other Valhalla plugins, like the reverse octave stuff, you know? This is nice.
And my skin wrapped up in your, and my skin wrapped up in your name.
I really like this detune mode.
And my skin wrapped up in your,
It's beautiful, it's lush, it's easy to work with, there are so many great presets, but you just have to answer for yourself, do you need another really good reverb, really good delay? But also it's only $50, like all Valhalla stuff. So yeah, I mean, had to include it. It's really good. Slot number 6. I just realized I didn't do this on purpose, but it's Absinthe 6. Absinthe is back. It's looking more beautiful than ever. There's this preset browsing thing that you can explore. Vaguely grouped based on sound similarity. But also the colors represent categories and you can refine what you're looking at. Ooh, let's play with this. So if you're not familiar, Absinthe is like the ultimate mutating, morphing, evolving synth texture dream. You got these 3 voices that you can mix, tons of parameters to mess with, and then some effects that you can choose from, some of which are kind of unique. Like the Aetherizer was part of the original and was kind of like a famous one. Yeah, like listen to how bland this patch is without it. I don't actually know what it does. It aetherizes. You can make really complex envelopes. Also, it's really nice that they allow you to just choose which things you want to look at, edit them. You can also hit this LFO switch and then it turns your shape into the amplitude of an LFO. And you can choose from all these different LFO types. And yeah, your modulation modulates the modulation. You've got handy macros at the bottom for every preset. Sometimes there's a second page of stuff. Oh, Absinthe 6 is also MPE and polyphonic aftertouch enabled. But the best part, as any Absinthe user knows, is the mutator. And we can expand this here. We can choose which modules will be affected by the mutator. Mutate again. And there are these two controls where mutation is like a little more intelligent, I guess, and random is like anything could happen to your parameters. Let's mutate like this now. Yeah, so unlike Fraction, the first synth that we looked at, it can get completely bonkers here, which, you know, is a good thing and a bad thing. In Absinthe 6, though, a nice thing they've added is these fine-tuning controls. So after you have randomized or mutated, you can still dial things back. Though I think I'm just playing way too high of a note here. Oh, and you hear that modulation? That's the aftertouch. You can't see my hand right now, but I'm pressing more on the key. But let me just show you a few presets because I feel like just showing one does not convey the power of Absinthe. That's a cool drum patch. Let's record it and we'll use it for our next demo. Next plugin is Wave Shifter from Minimal Audio. Let's hear it on this weird Absinthe drum loop I just made. This is one of those plugins that just makes things weird, and I love that. So it's a frequency shifter, which can also be a ring mod or amp mod since these processes are all interrelated. So you've got your usual minimal audio modulation style over here. Bipolar, depth amount, can be syncable or not. If you turn snap off, then the LFO shapes morph, so they gradually go from one to the next as opposed to being your standard like sine, triangle shapes. Any of these shapes though can also be randomized and have a stereo offset. But let's just turn off the modulation. So there's your like basic frequency shifter fun. And there's different options for like the speed of it and whether you want to tune it to specific notes or have it sync to your tempo. You can also frequency modulate the oscillator that's doing the frequency shifting. You can stereo spread the effect, offsetting the frequency left and right. And you can introduce feedback, so you kind of get weird frequency shifted delays. Okay, I could play with this one forever. We gotta move on. Next up is Soliste from Expressive E, and this is actually 4 different plugins, and they physically model violins, violas, double basses, and cellos to the best quality that I've ever heard physical modeling of these instruments. It's really incredible, and of course, best taken advantage of if you play an MPE instrument, such as Expressive E's own Osmos. There's so much expression in what the bow strokes sound like, the glides between notes. You can really fine tune how the instrument responds. You have a choice of a few different bodies, which the difference between these is rather subtle. These all sound like a cello. So I just think this is a huge achievement in terms of the realism of creating these instruments essentially with code and giving it to us not only in sound, but also with these tools that allow playing it so expressively if you don't quite have the time to master the violin. In slot number 3, we've got minimal audio again with Evoke. I'm just a big fan of everything this company does. It's always so well designed, forward thinking, unique, but not just for its own sake. Like, it is really useful, creative stuff. And this is their vocal resynthesis plugin. Like, I'm just gonna play with some of these controls and you can see what it does.
And let's get wrapped up in your, and let's get wrapped up in your, and let's get wrapped up in your name. And let's get wrapped up in your, and let's get wrapped up in you. Wrapped up in your name. And let's get wrapped up in your, and let's get wrapped up.
So in this section up here, you're doing resynthesis. It's taking whatever you feed it and quickly calculating it as a synthesizer sound with all these different parameters that give you so many fun things to play with sonically. Then you can further shape how the synth responds by adding extra voices. There's a tuning section, so you could like really hard tune it. Or you can glide. You can draw what kind of spectrum response you want. Or you can randomize it. And you can tilt it. Or shift it. You've got some modulators that you can apply to things. Let's envelope follow all of the synth controls. Should have mentioned this before, but there are a lot of different sound engines. You can choose a key and a scale for your tuning here. You can also lock this or unlock it so that it stays if you change presets. And then of course, there's different modes for where it's getting the pitch from. I find the pitch track works great, but you can also use MIDI or an external signal to get the pitch to apply to the vocal that you're putting through it. So it's just an amazing plugin for this kind of vocal fun. There are so many options for just creating interesting vocals. And of course, you can just use this as a layer if you want on top of your regular sounding vocal. You don't have to go full robot with it, but if you want to, it's so good for that too. Now in second place, this is both a plugin and a standalone application, GRM Tools Atelier. Full disclosure, they did ask me to provide feedback about this before it was released and sponsored me to do its launch video. So I am very intertwined with GRM Tools and Atelier, but it genuinely is an incredible tool, something right up my alley. It's just this super flexible modular synthesis playground. If you're into generative music, if you're into weird sound design, or weird processing, because it also has effects that you can just use on other sounds, I think you'll have a lot of fun with it. It's beautifully designed. It has a genius way of handling multi-output, like surround setups. And they've also kind of invented a new paradigm with their modulation system, which allows you to optionally, when you route your modulation to multiple places, have each of those signals be distinct. Like it'll be a variation on the settings that you've chosen. So I can turn it on and off here, where I'm just gonna get one signal going to multiple places, or I can have the same kind of signal, like this frequency, these shapes, but it just makes your patches come alive because you're not duplicating the same modulation all over the place. I'm gonna recommend you watch my full video on this if you're interested in it. It's just a genius patching, music making, sound design, exploratory environment, and a total joy to use. And in first place this year, how could it not be Serum 2? Honestly, I'm not even gonna make sounds with it because it can do so much. I'm not gonna like be able to give you a flavor of it in a video like this. What did they build on from Serum 1? Well, you've got a third oscillator now. Every oscillator has more than just wavetable mode. You can load samples, there's granular, there's spectral. They've added another filter. There's more modulation options. There's this bus routing system now, so you can choose how much you're blending each oscillator to each filter, or you can send them to these additional effects buses, where now on this new mix page, you can have extra effects in parallel to your main effects. And then you can also decide where you want these buses routed. Like you could route bus 1 into bus 2 into bus 1. Either of them could go through the main effects, or they could just go directly out and bypass the main effects. And by the way, that is also true of your oscillators and your filters. Like you can just route this in so many ways on the effects tab, a handful of new effects, and we now have the bus pages where you can set up your bus effects. You've got a super powerful arpeggiator here. And then this is absolutely ridiculous, a clip launcher. So you can have all these different things that you trigger. Obviously it's synced with your DAW. These can be chords, they can be phrases. You can put them in yourself, or you can go through any of the banks that they've got here. And this works in tandem with the arpeggiator. So if you find some cool chords here that you want to launch and play, I said I wasn't going to give you sound, but here we go. So the clip launcher and the arpeggiator can work together. And you can even have multiple clips playing at once. So like here's an F major 9 arpeggio plus a G9 sus4 arpeggio. Or like it's one arpeggio, but it's taking notes from both those chords. You can draw MPE bends in here, and those also get applied in the arpeggio. The stuff that I have seen people do with this is just wild. I'll just call out a couple examples from my buddy Andile, who I did an EP with a couple years ago. This is his physically modeled strings. Comparable to the Expressive E plugin, like a tailor-made physical string model. This is his bird calls. It's Serum. So those are the plugins for this year. Everything is linked in the video description. I hope you found something inspiring, and I'll see you in the next one.